Because you've heard about the Antifa.
Yeah, I think so.
They're struggling youth in general, all over the world, struggling people with mostly no family, and they're in effect they're for hire. If you want to destroy something, you hire them.
Wow.
So the police are protecting us in this case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what we're doing here, just to explain this to you, is this is a day on which we're founding a new political party. It's called Team Liberty, Team Freiheit. And it's called, Viviana and myself, we have founded one with two of our colleagues, Professor Kämmerer of the University of Würzburg and my friend Professor Martin Schwab. He's a lawyer, he's a law professor. And we have, the four of us have founded a political party by the name of Team Freedom a couple of weeks ago. And now what we're doing is we're trying to get these discussions, political discussions, democratic exchanges going again by trying to set an example. That's what we did. And this is the second time that one of these parties, it's called Team Freedom or Team Liberty, Scotch and Sofa. That's the name of this outfit. And then the address. So that's the second Team Liberty or Team Freedom party that's being founded. And we're hoping that many, many more, thousands if possible, in this country are going to be founded. The reason is that the German Constitution affords special protection according to Article 21 of our Constitution. There's special protection for political parties. Because political exchanges, democratic exchanges, the exchanging of ideas is the foundation, freedom of speech of course, is the foundation for any democracy.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. So how many people are watching now? It's live?
40. Oh,
Oh, there's you know, the live stream is probably being watched by maybe 30, 40, 50,000, but then the next day, hundreds of thousands are going to review this on video.
Wow.
And it's being streamed internationally, and I think our friend Itam is also watching right now.
Great.
Yeah. So it's
He's
this is
between us, you know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he has a lot of credit.
So, and of course this has nothing to do with you, but it is perfect that you're here right now.
Yeah, it's a perfect time.
Because I was going to ask you, what is the political situation in Israel? What's the feeling amongst the people? How do they deal with these anti-corona measures? How do they deal with vaccinations?
Israel is a very, very unique case. If we have to tackle this very special country in what's going on worldwide in 2020, now it's 2021. Because in Israel, I think as far as I know, it's the only country that vaccination against corona went massively. So they're talking about over 2 million people out of almost 9 million people that had been vaccinated. Whether it's true or not, we don't know for sure, but we see people in line for the vaccination. And I wasn't prepared to just come in and then you just started shooting, so it's really cool and I'm happy about it. But
don't worry about it.
I want to be moderate in the way that I will express what's going on. There is a lot of propaganda. There is the mainstream media. It's almost everywhere.
Yeah.
But that also gives part to every coin. There are two sides. We see the power of the people with regular social media, like here, just streaming. Everybody has a phone. Everybody, you know, is taking his or her own share. So we also see it many rising also parties and initiative also coming from Israel. But for me, it seems like the country on a conscience basis is hijacked. Even though there are many people that are on the right side and are with the right awareness, the atmosphere in the country is like, you have to do it, you have to go with the flow, because in few months, we're all going to be out of it. It's just a matter of a few months, you're going to get the green passport, so it becomes a trend. And this is what I am fighting against with my helpers and teams and colleagues, but we have people approaching us from everywhere. It's just a matter of how the conversation going on. It's even not about laws anymore, because, for instance, they're calling us from almost anywhere. The army. So the army spokesman went, after we went to the journalists last week with a case, and we because there were a lot of pressure on young people that they're over 18, so they have the right to choose for themselves. They're sovereign, they're grown-ups, but they're young, and there is a lot of pressure, peer pressure, in the army. People that are working in the jail to protect prisoners, and in hospitals, students, in teachers, general places of work. Today I was like driving for a few hours, so I'm getting calls all the time. So people that are making movies now, they have to bring twice. They have to do twice a week. They have to do a test. Because it's a big shooting for a movie or a series, and they say that they don't want one of the actors to get sick. So now everybody has to be tested. So the whole conversation now is changing on the basis that you don't have a privacy anymore, and you have to show that you're okay. So, we are lawyers. We know that the principle is that everybody are innocent until proven otherwise. We always, definitely after World War II, we set up a set of rules, codes, how we communicate in a democratic society to keep the glue of living together, of people living together and not seeing anybody as a potential threat. Once we're changing this, it's a new doctrine. Even people that support what is going on right now, because they believe in it. They don't understand this is a sliding scale. It's like tomorrow or the next day, it's going to be another vaccine or another treatment or another test that you would not want it, and you cannot say no anymore. So I don't want to take the whole scene over here, but you asked me a general question about Israel, and Israel is my country where I grew up, where I'm practicing law. And my country, in many ways, I became very famous this year, and I wasn't planning that. But I'm also probably, for many people from the mainstream, the public enemy, because, I'm one of those guys that is standing along the way and say, hey, what about, rules, democracy, moral? And they say, no, move aside. We have a problem. Once we fix the problem, we're going to get everything back. No, that's not the way it goes. So I will live with you guys with that for now, but we can talk further about whatever you want to discuss.
Well, this is exactly the discussion that we're about to have here. Founding this party, we're talking about what's really going on. Is this really about health, or is there something else going on? Is there a totally different agenda that's being pushed? But what you're pointing at right now is that obviously there are people who are worried, who are beginning to ask questions. Is that the same in your country?
I think many people, we're just discussing it almost on a daily basis. The country is divided for sure. I would say that it seems to me that more and more people are waking up. There's this very famous saying about, referred to Abraham Lincoln, but not sure that he said that you can fool most of the people all the time, or part of the people all the time, or most of the people part of the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. So whatever happening right now is happening for a long, long time. As time is passing along, it increase the chance that people will say, hey, you know what, I believe about what's going on. I trust the government, but it's going on for too long. And you can see how the court's reacting. You see how the doctor's reacting. You can see the propaganda is being pushed on people all the time. Fear is the name of the game, of course.
Fear and panic.
Exactly. And that makes, I would say, the fuel for this whole big change that we're going through right now. So I am optimistic, but I would not count, unfortunately, on my country to be the leader of the change, because we are, as if you open the news, they will say, all the world is looking at us, envying us, that we got the vaccine first. We got the deal. we made it already. Of course, they made the deal before they had any FDA approval. Moderna is saying that they're starting, I think, from February. They're not hiding that. That's what they're saying. How do you produce so much of your product when you don't have any proof? Yes. Yeah. And I'm personally, I am very experienced in the business of vaccination and damages that they can have about it.
We're going to ask you a lot about
that.
So
tomorrow. I'm going to talk with you guys.
But the thing is, from our last discussion, our Zoom talk with two other colleagues of yours, one of them being one of the preeminent class action lawyers in your country, right? And then it turns out that he has some doubts, but he got vaccinated.
I was talking with my assistant about it earlier after the conversation, because we got, there was, for the people that just listen to us right now, I'll explain, we had this first Zoom together to get to know each other, which I'm, by the way, the people don't know, but I'm running after you for about 4 months, 5 months, really? Just to, since you got this viral video.
Which was taken
51 minutes, yes, but you brought it back, right?
We're coming back. We're having there's a lawsuit going on, and I think this is going to be important because I'm not the only one. This is what's happening right now. It's the social media who are trying to decide whether or not someone's opinion can be heard or not, and that is completely unconscionable, illegal, unconstitutional. We can't have that.
That's another thing that is changing in front of our eyes, you know. It's very hard for us people to deal with law, that we are used to be practicing a norm, a way that everything works, and now so quickly things are changing because we used to call it the freedom market of opinion. Mm-hmm. It's like the free market of opinion. It's a non-term in legal, because this is like the basis that. Why do they think that we are stupid enough that we cannot say this video is conspirative, speculative? I don't know. Why would we believe everything that they show us? No, we are smart enough to know what is, and we also have to be modest, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the very foundation of any democracy is the exchange of ideas and of opinions. Now, what will happen in Israel when it turns out that these vaccines, I think the first one that's being used is the one by Biontech Pfizer, right?
Pfizer, yes.
Biontech is a German company. What if it turns out that the adverse reactions, which we have learned about over the last couple of weeks or so, but which the mainstream media are trying to suppress, what if it turns out that these adverse reactions are really serious, in some cases deadly?
Of course there are. We see all the time people are, and you see people that are from the mainstream, not against the corona. Normally there were people that are very disappointed because somebody of their family got hurt. Mm-hmm. So we see many of them, and there are people are collecting, and I'm just pushing on Facebook or on WhatsApp like group of screenshots from people that share their experience of a family member. Some people dead, some people are injured. So it's increasing. Also, there is a group on Facebook, which is also an organization, a non-profit, which I am supporting, and I'm also representing many times about informed choice about vaccination. Mm-hmm. And the initiative that people did that are connected to the group is offer a reporting system on the internet so people can report, because we don't trust the government anymore, and we know they're hiding information. Yeah. But as I said before, because I'm dealing with vaccination for many years and I know a lot about the manufacturers and the norms and the principles, this new vaccine has never been heard of. This is something beside the new technology. It doesn't go through the regular stages of testing on animals, and also testing for a long time before you know it's okay. And again, the norm and the standard in the industry is everything that is injected to your body with chemicals is suspected to be jeopardy for you and endangering you until proving otherwise. because it's a substance.
Yeah.
So, and I see now the mainstream channels, the media, but also the mainstream channels for the government, like the Minister of Health officials and other people come out and say, for instance, we want to take it forward to and allow it also to pregnant women. So the reason we want to do it because we don't have enough proof that is endangering them. So now how it goes now that you have to prove that this is doing something bad, unless otherwise it's a fairy tale powder, you know. So fairy powder. So.
It's the opposite of what it should be. Isn't that the same legal situation in Israel? I mean, I used to conduct a lot of international meetings at the University of Göttingen when I still worked there, because I worked at for a professor who specialized in medical malpractice law, medical and pharmaceutical law. So we used to have lots and lots of international, including Israel, international lawyers, doctors, etc. And I remember that the legal situation, probably according to what we learned after the Nuremberg trials, the legal situation is the same as in Germany. Any medical intervention is battery unless you consent to it as the patient. Any consent is invalid unless you are informed first, informed consent. Now, the thing is, what we learned in what we're doing here at the Corona Committee, we learned that all of the forms, all of the consent forms, the information that they're given are completely, I shouldn't say, well, it's not enough, by far not enough, because it doesn't, the patients or the people who are getting vaccinated, and I suspect the people who took part in the trial, same situation there. They're not getting the full information that they need. At least they're not getting any information as to that there's no pre-clinical trials, that there are no animal experiments, and they're not learning anything about adverse reactions. Adverse reactions, I don't know if you've seen any of the videos by Del Bigtree and others, they can be really serious neurological defects which make people look as though they're completely insane. Now, I know that in none of the forms that we have seen do people get this kind of information. And that means the information they're getting is invalid, the consent is invalid, so you end up with battery, sometimes with worse, because people are dying.
Yes.
How will Israelis react to this if they begin to understand what's going on? I'm asking this because part of this is German. Biontech is a German company.
Yeah.
And I think there is, and I don't think it is very far-fetched. I don't think it is very far-fetched to draw an analogy to what happened in the 1940s in this country.
Yes. This is one of those topics that I might address tomorrow, but I'm not sure I'm ready yet because I don't know the crowd and I don't know if I don't want to be. This
is a friendly crowd.
So I am sure. I'm sure. But I will see. I don't want. I'm the last person you can think about as a politically correct style. But I wanna be blending in with you guys slowly. So I don't want to say things that are maybe can be shocking a little bit. But I will say this: people in Israel are ignoring a lot of stuff, everything that you mentioned. But more than that, Pfizer is a company that you should be suspicious of. It's not a company that are just here to save the world, as they're trying to show us. We know their history. We know how much money is spending on controlling by the politicians and the media, by the pharma, worldwide scale, and in every country it has the differences. We know about Moderna. It's a company that never sold, as far as I understood, one vaccine. The company was established to deal with, I think, chemotherapy treatment. So it's just, it's a startup getting a lot of money and now trying to do something with it or whatever. I would say that people, unfortunately, the majority of the people going vaccinated are not looking into that in this way. They're not looking in a critical thinking way. And when you are in fear, you will not use your critical thinking too much. You will want to gain short-term gains, and that's, you know, just survival mode. And that's how we are built up as a human. So in a way, when you instill fear within people, and then you show them a great solution just around the corner, and we are this high-tech nation that everybody are running away, and you can push everybody on to the side if they don't want to go along. That's another natural way. Again, I don't want to sound extreme, but I think if you mention Germany and Israel, I believe it's human nature. The bad guys can always be ruling some specific nation. It's not necessarily about a specific people or culture. It's definitely a consciousness thing, and that could happen in every country to any nation. And I'm saying that as a Jewish person, based on things that I've seen, and based on the teachers that I've learned from, that they survived a lot of bad stuff. So we are not immune, if I can use that language, that word, you know, to make a very similar mistakes of tyranny that been pushed against our people in previous time. Nobody is immune. When people are telling me, somebody talked to me on the phone, some just regular person has said, you know, on the times of emergency, the human rights are not so important, you know, we can put them aside. In my point of view, it's the opposite. In times of emergency, then you know if you have human rights. Human rights is something that either you practice or not. When everything is cool and regular, there is no challenge. Now is the time. And I see, unfortunately, how the legal system reacting and the medical system is reacting. And I always say there are two professionals that people have to be worried and suspicious about. Doctors and lawyers, not necessarily in this order. That doesn't mean that there are not good lawyers, you know, somewhere like this guy. But I'm telling you, you have to be suspicious, because I see doctors using a lot of tyranny, not only from 2020, even before, because it's my business, my work, trying to save people that are being hunted by the establishment, and for nothing, for treatments or vaccines or to push them to do something forcibly, for something that there is no reason to do it. There is no evidence that a disease that we didn't see for 20 years or for 40 years, and they still want to push it, so there is an agenda to push. So I know what is going on for a long time, or the deterioration. However, the people, you asked me about the people of Israel, unfortunately, there is a lot of, as I said, propaganda by the mainstream media, and people are buying it. The majority are buying it. Society as a whole are buying it. At least that's the feeling on the street. But I feel so many people are backing my work, and people that this small group of people are doing what I'm doing, and it's growing. And also, I don't know, I probably get also the same reaction. It's a very emotional reaction. People say, we need your voice. You have to continue. You have to do what you have to do. So there is a very strong group of people, and this, I think, it's essential. It's a spirit. It's between any one of us, and it will prevail. There is nothing that can kill that. You know, a person can be stopped. A movement. What you're trying to do here, what you've done with one video, how many hearts you waked up, you know, and how many people you waked up, opened their eyes and says, you know what, this is where it's going to. And they are in fear. The people in control right now, they are in fear, because it's not a person to person, it's not a politician, it's not their game, it's not their field. We are waking up, and we are the lights in this darkness, and every small light in a big darkness is pushing. There is an old saying in my ancient book saying, a small light pushes away a lot of darkness. So,
I don't think it's a coincidence that you're here right now.
It's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Exist as far
Can
as
you?
I know.
Can you tell the people who you are? First name is Tamir.
Yes. My name is Tamir Turgal. That's my family name. I'm a human rights lawyer and specialize in medical rights. And I'm working. I also have activities in technology, high tech. So it's not on the legal, only legal. So with the law, because it's not my main field of income, I could practice more with my heart. During the years, I found myself drawn into really helping people that find themselves in a jam, and I became more and more sophisticated with experience. I have two female partners in Israel, Sophia and Dana, which we are like, I always said it's a triangle, so we are one. We're a strong team, and we become known that if you are in a jam, if you're in a problem and you feel that you are, pushed by normally medical establishment, but not necessarily, you can come to us. Very known against the vaccination, aggression. In Israel, they vaccinated the kids on schools. I don't know if they do it in Germany. As far as I know, it's not, normally it's not everywhere. This is something that also stayed for years and years ago. Should not be, because a grown-up coming to the child and give him a medical treatment, there is not informed consent. You have to give the information to the parent, because they are the apotropos, they are the in charge, and they are not there. So, and because it became a norm, and to make it even worse, so the government took this activity of having a school nurse, which was, when I was a kid, there was a school nurse getting her salary from the administration of education. So she was part of the school. She was working there every day. But they took it out, like outsourced, into two companies. And these companies are hiring like freelance nurses, and they are doing vaccination and tests and
in school?
Other stuff in school.
Well, that's not here in Germany.
Yes.
Still not.
Well, yeah, we don't know what is coming. This vaccination altogether, and I don't want to get too deep on this one right now, but just saying something as a headline to think about, and we can elaborate tomorrow. We don't have anymore a social or a general a medical treatment beside vaccines, because they used to spray DDT on people. That was like 50, 70 years ago. 70, yeah, it was the 50s, on the 60s. They thought it's against contamination. So people were in the pool or just going places in the open air, and they were used to do it in the United States. They do it a lot. They used to have many treatments that were giving everything to everybody. But now, as we become more and more modern, the treatments at our times are individual. So let's say there is a classroom of little kids, or in the kindergarten, and they all get a small flu, or they have a dripping nose, and they all go to the same doctor. It's just an example. So we cannot imagine that this doctor will see 10 or 20 kids are sitting in his waiting room in the lobby, and he will go to the secretary and say, you know what, just give them a paracetamol, one piece to everybody, and let them go. He will never do it. He will see one kid at a time. He will check the history, the weight, the sensitivity, everything that needs to be taken under consideration before he will say, you are getting half of this, you're getting 2 of this, you're getting something else. It will be personal. So because we already know that everyone has to be treated on a personal manner. You cannot treat people anymore like they've done in the past, that everybody gets everything. Wow. Vaccination, there is one size fits all. If you're a baby, 2 months old or 30 years old a guy, and you will have vaccine for something, you will get the same dose. And of course, we give everybody get the same dose according to a schedule somebody built for everybody, and we don't check each kid to sensitivity, even though we know as a society they're going to be about 10 to 15% of the kids that are susceptible, that are more sensitive, and they're going to get hurt. We know it. but we say for the greater good, which is something I'm really, I don't want to get into that right now, maybe tomorrow. This is something we should remember how problematic and how dangerous could be. So I will end it with that, okay? But there is to be continued, as we can say.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We'll slide back into German for a bit. Is that okay?
Sure. I'll have to take some.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Yes. Ja, Viviane. Ich finde das sehr beeindruckend, was wir hier gerade hören. Und morgen werden wir